for come when called, we're going to say, Max, come. And as soon as he turns and looks at us, we're going to mark yes and begin praising him as he makes his way to you, and then reward with a treat. You can practice in the backyard, calling him, rewarding him, and letting him go back, so he knows that every time we call, it doesn't mean we're ending the fun. The other way to practice is by putting on a long leash and practicing in places like the front yard or at a green space in the park. This helps practice in more distracting environments in case there were ever an emergency and you needed to recall him. If you call and he doesn't respond right away, pause for a second, give him a chance to respond, and then make a backup noise to get his attention to make him follow through. Wait means stop and don't go any further. So when we say wait, we're drawing an imaginary line and telling them they cannot cross it. They can sit, stand, down, walk around, as long as they do not try to cross that line unless you release them with the word free. So here we're practicing on stairs. It's just a good habit to build so that you don't have a dog that trips you going up and down stairs. Another great place to practice is around the front door. So a big difference you'll see here is that with the stairs, I wanted him to follow with me. So once I got to the top or bottom of the stairs, I released him with the word free. With the front door, I'm not going to release him. If I needed to step out for any reason, I want to be able to just come back in, shut the door, and then I don't have to release him because I'm not allowing him to cross that line. When I come back in, I'm going to shut the door, reward him, and then, as I said, move on. He does not need release because we're not letting him cross that line. You can practice this anytime you have a package on your front porch to build in daily routine. So you're going to say, wait, step out to get that package, come inside, shut the door, toss him a treat, and then continue on. Another thing we practiced was me moving away from the door to make sure that he understands not to bolt even if I'm not standing at the doorway. This is helpful if there's ever a situation where you need to set something down first, then step back to the door. Want to know that he's not going to just dash out that door. Wait is also useful if you're wanting to step into a room to grab something but don't want him to follow you. Or in this situation here, I need to get something out of the oven, so I've told him to wait. Again, I don't care if he moves around, walks around, as long as he doesn't go past that line, which for me here was don't come any closer to the oven because I didn't want him to obviously get hurt. So you say wait, do the thing you need to do, and then as long as they don't cross that line, you can release him at the end of it. If it's something like the front door, no need to release because we're not letting him cross that line. And lastly, the other place you'll use this is anytime you're going out the door. So here I'm telling him and Miss Lily to wait because I'm stepping out the door. Or if I'm taking him out on a walk, I'm going to cue him to wait, step out the door, and then release him through. Free. Good boy. Place means go there, lay there, and stay there until released. The release word is free, just like it was for wait. Here in this training session, I'm specifically practicing duration of time between reinforcement as well as small distractions like walking around, moving farther away. Here I am going kind of like up the stairs into the living room, opening cabinets, stomping, running, moving around, all the small distractions I can. And then I'm periodically coming back and rewarding him by tossing the treat onto the bed. This is important because we want him to know the food comes to him where he is. He does not need to get up and meet us for it. And when we're done, we can say free to release him. If he gets up and we did not release him, it's simply just sending him back, saying place, encourage him back on, and then continue with what you are practicing. Make sure that you don't reward him right away for getting back on the bed. If that is the case, you want to make sure you make him work a little bit for it. So doing these formal training sessions like I'm doing here is one way you can practice place. By practicing this way, you're really getting to hone in on duration between reinforcement as well as building up tolerance for different kinds of distractions. You can practice this with yourself like I'm doing here, or you can also play Simon Says with your son and have him be the one doing the things while you're rewarding Max. And again, the goal here is to slowly build up Max's ability to hold his place while seeing different kinds of distractions and slowly spacing out how often that treat comes. And over time, as you practice more and more, he'll need less and less reinforcement for this until you kind of get to where he only needs maybe one in the beginning and one towards the end. The other way to practice place is in real context where you would want him to place. So my examples I have here are during dinner time when I'm cooking and when we're eating. These are the times I prefer the most for my dogs to be on place, but there may be other contexts you want to practice this as well. The important thing here is that practicing in context helps build the idea for our dogs that when I do X, you do place, right? So when I cook or when we sit at the table, this is what is expected of you. And practicing in that way helps build this lifelong ability to do place in those contexts. You also are able to build a longer total duration while still reinforcing periodically throughout. You're able to build a bit longer duration than when you're doing those formal training sessions. So what you'll see here is Max is on his place. While I'm cooking, I'm periodically tossing him a treat and rewarding him. The big difference here is that I haven't actually told him to place, because when we tell him to place, we need to be available to reinforce at the time he needs it throughout, as well as making sure that if he gets off, we're able to send him right back and release him when we're ready. When I'm multitasking and doing something like cooking or eating dinner with my family, it is a lot harder to be as on top of it as when you're doing those formal training sessions. So what I'm doing here is what I call passive training. The bed is there, and if he chooses it while I'm doing my thing, I'm going to toss and reward him with a treat. I'm going to periodically reward him as long as he continues to stay. If he gets up, nothing happens because I didn't tell him he had to be there. I did not cue him to place. He just chose to be on place because he knows that it's an opportunity for reinforcement. So I love this because you don't have to stress if he gets up and be like, oh no, we're messing up our place, but I can't correct him into sending him back to place right now because I'm trying to feed my toddler or I'm trying to get this in the oven. And so what I like about doing it this way is there's kind of no stress for you. You're just going to periodically reward him as you can. If he gets up, no big deal. Max is doing really well with this. The one thing I am noticing with him is that when he is getting up, it is mostly because he wants to go lay somewhere else. So I think he just gets hot laying on that mat and he prefers to lay on the cool surface, especially in this hot summer we have right now. So a couple things you could do to help with that is one, again, just do the passive training. If he gets up, as long as he's not bothering you and he's just going to lay somewhere on the hardwood, you can leave it be. Another option would be get something cooler for his place. The two options are either a cooling mat, those will work really well for summertime, or even getting a raised cot, because those are kind of lifted up off the ground. While they're a little bulkier than getting like a cooling mat, the raised cot will allow airflow underneath and he shouldn't get quite as hot on that. For greeting guests, we're combining his place cue with go say hi. So when somebody's at the door, you're going to send him to place, let your guest in, and when you're ready, you're going to have them put their hand out, palm forward, and they don't have to say anything. They just have to stand there with their hand out, and then you're going to cue Max to go say hi. He's going to go boop their hand. You're going to mark yes, and then encourage him back to you for a treat, and then you can send him back to place and send him again to say hi, or send him to a different person if multiple people have come in the door. What's great about this is it teaches him how to greet politely without any jumping, as well as if he is nervous about anybody, it gives him the opportunity to go say hi with in a very low-key way. He doesn't have to be touched. He doesn't have to allow them to pet him. He can go check them out in just kind of a very low-key way and then still come back to you for a reward. So you can practice this with anybody coming to your house, but I would have him on leash when you're first practicing. That way you have a little bit more control of him staying on place and be ready to reinforce a little heavier. The other thing to do is practice this with each other in the home. Anytime somebody's coming home, have them come to the front door, husband, anybody, the nanny, and knock and practice. And use that opportunity of somebody coming into the house to train. Good boy. Stay is essentially the same thing as place, just without the bed. So you would ask him to sit or down. He definitely prefers to lay down, and then move around just like we did in those formal trainings for place, coming back and periodically rewarding him. Typically, stay is used for a lot shorter periods of time, so you don't have to work on building up big durations like with place, whereas place you can use for things like dinner time that can be 30 minutes plus. And you're still using that release word free for stay, just like you do for place and wait. Leave it means back away from the thing you were headed towards so you can practice with treats or other items that he may like paper products. In real time, if he leaves it, make sure you're ready to mark yes and do a praise party all the way to the treats and get him that cookie for doing the good thing. Drop it means let go of the thing that is in your mouth. Same as with leave it. When this happens in real time, be ready to reward him so that he will continue to do this for you. All right, Max, let's go. All right, so I'm out on a walk with Max, and I'm just going to talk kind of about working on loose leash walking. Yes. So for loose leash walking, he can be at our side or slightly in front like that as long as the leash is loose like it is now. Yes. And periodically throughout our walk, I'm going to mark and reward him for making good choices. This is kind of the main thing with loose leash walking. Yes. So when he's walking right next to me, or he's a little in front with that loose leash, or when he offers me attention, because the world is really distracting. And so if he offers me attention, yes, I'm going to mark yes and reward him for that. So the more we reward those good choices, the more he's going to offer them to us. And then over time, we can slowly kind of wean down on how often we're rewarding those good choices. Yes. But in the meantime, in the beginning here, we're going to reward 100% of the good choices he makes. Yes, good boy. That's what's going to get us building really great loose leash walking skills, so that we don't even have to really address too much pulling. Yes, good boy, because we're starting off by teaching him what we want him to do and not just what we don't want him to do. Yes, big things when rewarding are making sure that we reward him at our side. So even if he's in front of me and I mark yes, right, my hand comes down to my side and he has to come back to me. So this makes all the good stuff happen back here beside me, and that makes him more likely to stay there. Yes, good boy. So this right is keeping him closer because all the good stuff happens here. So we're rewarding all those good choices, and then over time, once he is offering us 100% of good choices the walk, then we can slowly start to wean down from 100% to 75%. Oops. If he starts to cross, we're just going to guide him back onto the side we want him on. But we're going to wean down from 75 to 50 to 25. And we're going to make that a slow weaning process. Yes. Good. So the big thing to remember here with the walking is we don't want to take it for granted when he's walking nicely. Often we take that for granted and kind of just leave them. What do you see, buddy? Let's go. Good boy. And then we wait until they're doing things we don't like pulling, to kind of tell them what we don't want. And the big thing with the rewarding good choices is we're changing our mindset to look for, whoa, buddy, the good things and the things we want them to do, and telling them we like when they do that. So he does have a tendency to try to cross like this. So we're just going to grab the leash here, gently guide him back over and step around him to keep him on that side. Yes. This is another reason why when we're rewarding, we reward with the hand closest to him. Yes. Because if you start crossing over in front of your body with your other hand, you're going to have him doing that more and more and crossing in front of you. Yes. Right here. Good boy, Max. So we're changing our mindset. We're looking for the good stuff and rewarding that right now. And then over time, you'll be able to fade that out. And as you can see, he's no longer doing a whole lot of pulling. I do want to mention, though, real quick, that sniffing, while he's not doing a lot of that right now, we do want to give him opportunities to sniff if he's interested. Sniffing is good for them. This way. This way is our cue to say we're turning. So we're just going to turn back this way. Yes. Oh, let's leave that. That's nasty. Leave it. Yes, good boy. Oh, yeah, let's not do that. So, yes, good boy. So if he does want to sniff, we do want to allow him chances to sniff. Yes, but we want to make sure he's doing it within length of the leash and we're not letting him pull us or drag us to places to sniff. But sniffing is an important part for dogs. It's how they see the world. They are very olfactory instead of visual like us. Yes. And so we want to give them those opportunities to kind of check out the goings on of the neighborhood via scent. But if you're ready, if he's been sniffing for a while and you're ready to move him on, you're just going to cue him, let's go, and then start moving. So let's see if I can get him to stop and sniff somewhere. If not, we'll kind of just, you want to sniff a little bit? Anything to check out? There we go. Good boy. Let's see if he'll sniff these trees. Come on. What's in there? You want to go sniff? No, not really? Okay. Well, anyways, you would just cue him. Let's go. Let's go means we're moving. Yes. So you've got let's go, which means we're moving again. And this way, which means we're changing directions. Yes. Good boy. All right. Well, that is it for walking with Max. He's doing really great. Yes. Max. Good boy. Doing a really great job with his walking. And very, very pleasant dog to take for a walk. For his leash reactivity, you're going to play a game called Engage, Disengage. So I would start by playing this just in the front yard, where you can watch kind of the world happen, is what you're seeing here as well. And so what this game and protocol is to work on reactivity is when he sees a person or a dog and he looks at them, immediately you're going to mark yes and reward him. He looks again, you're going to mark yes and reward again. And you're going to do this until the thing is out of sight. If he starts to bark too much, you're going to back him up and move him away and get some distance and then try again. We're doing two things with this protocol. One is pairing, seeing the triggers with something good in case there's any feelings of nervousness or anxiousness about the thing. We're teaching him an alternative. When you see these things, instead of barking and lunging at the end of the leash about it, you're going to come back to me and we're going to work together. Practicing this protocol anytime you're out with him on leash is what is going to help this behavior long-term change. But it does take a little bit, so make sure you're also setting aside times outside of walks to just hang out with him in the front and kind of watch the world pass by while doing this game. And make sure you bring lots and lots of treats. You could also practice this in the backyard because I know you mentioned that he likes to bark at the fence. The big thing in the backyard you would want to do is also have him on leash when you're practicing so that he can't completely leave you and run towards the fence. Good boy. If you notice him start to do what you see here, which is he looks at the thing, the dog or the person, and then turns back to you, be ready to mark yes and reward that as well. That is him disengaging on his own. While when we mark for him looking, we're marking that first step, which is him engaging with it. So marking that first engage is really important. And then as you do that more, you will start to see him disengage on his own more like he is doing there. Yes. Yes. Good boy, Max. Yes. 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 Good boy. Nice job, Max. Good boy. And that's a wrap on Max's training.